Well, hey there, all you good people. Welcome to week 6. We are moving our way along, aren't we? So we get to continue having conversations about sample case patients. This week we're going to talk about hypertension specifically. So one of the things I hope that you are starting to get from this is that we're trying to say, okay, in a coaching mindset, there's maybe a series of question types that make sense to ask, or at least to start the conversation. So that's kind of again this repetition of the cases that we're doing and the types of questions that you need to sort of pull out and be and answer in those. Might seem like it's, oh man, we just did this kind of thing. Then we just do this thing. You did it on ourselves, and then we did it on a case patient last week, and do it on another one this week. Well, that's all by design. Hopefully, anyway, that it allows you to be able to have a mindset of questioning that sort of makes a logical sense, getting from perhaps point A to point B. Taking all of this in consideration, that the patient or client or participant that you're working with, really drives the ship on all of this. But at the same time, having a direction in your own mind about where perhaps you want to go, what kind of information you want to get, so that you can start making some recommendations relative to exercise. So, there may be some things that you've been exposed to in the past relative to health coaching, and maybe we haven't. I'm sure we probably haven't had this conversation. I mean, I know we haven't in this class anyway, but in other classes perhaps. That there's a philosophy in health coaching that, the coach is the person who just helps to, navigate, right? And that is certainly a lot of truth to that the patient, client, participant, they drive the ship and take it in a direction, and you're there to give some guidance, to answer maybe some questions, but not to say this is what you need to do. And I think there's some truth to that. But if we stick to just strictly that type of model, then I think we're missing opportunities to educate and guide at perhaps more of a deeper level, maybe, if you want to say it that way. So, in this class, hopefully what we're getting out of this is to be able to understand the pathophysiology of exercise and how it relates to chronic disease, but also the components that go into building an exercise program, so that when you work with an individual, you can give the guidance that they need, some real tangible foundational. It's my belief that our job as health coaches is not to just say, yes, good idea, no, bad idea, or to say, you can really do this as a motivational. I mean, those are parts of it. But I think we have a real obligation to be able to know what we're doing relative to something like exercise, to say, these are the components that we need to consider in an exercise program. These are all the pieces that we need to talk about for an exercise program for you, for a patient who has, say, for instance, hypertension, and then has all of the particular uniquenesses in that individual's lifestyle that go into an exercise prescription or exercise program. All of those things we need to know, so then we can give the evidence, the best evidence-based recommendations for their particular situation. So I know some schools or programs teach that they just let the individual steer their way through, and we're there just to make sure they don't fall off any cliffs or whatever. But I really think that that's not enough. That we should be there to say, okay, here's what an exercise program looks like, and these are the pieces of it that we need to consider. So that's really the rationale for going through this series of questioning, questions in these case studies, and really the format to give you some guidance on how at least we feel like is a good approach to it. Of course, there's 1,001 ways to do this. This is just one way. And we hope that what you do with this information is modify it and make it fit to whatever needs you have, going forward as a health coach, and what your clients will need. But at least it gives some structure to the process. And I think that's a good place to start. And so we've got some repetition with that here. And hopefully, you get to this piece of, oh gosh, dare I say it, but that I sound really philosophical there, right? But that your client doesn't need you anymore. I mean, your job, and we may not have talked about this yet, I know we haven't in this class anyway, but I feel like your primary job as a health coach is to work your way out of a job. If you can, and by that I mean, let me clarify what I mean by that. For each patient, client, participant that you have, it's always been my objective to say, I hope that we can get to a point where you don't need me anymore. The last thing you want to do is try to structure your way of business or way of life or way of practice to keep them on the hook. I just don't feel like that's the way to go, because people need to hopefully get themselves in a place where they can be self-sufficient. They have the self-efficacy and the confidence to be able to move forward, and the information, the knowledge, and the resources to be able to move forward on their own. Not to say that they won't maybe need a booster at some time to reconnect. But I think, our job as health coaches is to get people to a place where they don't need us anymore. And I think if we can have that mindset, if we can develop that kind of relationship with people, then ironically, you will always have a job, because there are far too many people out there that need you. And if you have a reputation as that, what your efforts are really a client-centered, patient-centered, participant-centered mindset and practice. With it's not about you, right? It's never about you. It's about them. And so if you have that way of going about your business, then or your practice, then you will always have a job, because you'll be doing the right thing, and clients may come and go, but they will always, in my mind, come because you have the reputation of their best interest in mind. It's not about, you obviously have to make money and make a living and that type of thing, but if you put them first, then you'll always have a job. So it's always been my mindset to work my way out of a job with every person that I've worked with in a health coaching situation, is to get them to a point where they're self-sufficient. So what does that have to do with this week? Nothing. But it seemed like it was the right thing to say at the right time, I guess. But I think as we go through these case studies, it may not be a bad idea to keep that in mind, right? I mean, to have the genuineness of asking the questions and the real, concern for the individual. I know these are just cases, and they're not for real, but it does start a mindset for you, I think, into how you want to practice and how you say things during health coaching, sessions and when you meet with people. So it's always, I hope that our program, at its very core, delivers the message to you that this is all about the relationship. What we focus on in every class is trying to get you the skills and the tools, and the techniques that you need to be, a health coach or to work in the health and wellness field. But the secret sauce is you. I mean, it's always been that way. It's where people will be successful or not is not because of the tools or, you know, whatever. It's really because of the relationship that forms between, you know, the patient and the coach and the, you know, or the client, whatever you want to call them. It's always about that relationship. That is the most important piece. I think we miss out sometimes in missing the mark there because we're so focused in this in our health and wellness, but certainly healthcare, about technology, about you know, this idea of biomedicalism, and I think we sometimes lose sight of the relationship is what actually matters. So hopefully what these cases are doing and these classes are doing are moving you along in that mindset that it's really about you and your ability to just sit with another person and help them get to the place that they want to be. And so once they've arrived, then, you know, they don't need you anymore. And then you did your job. I mean, you know, you've done your job when they say, you know, I think I can do this on my own. And that's success to me. That's what it's always been about for me, is getting them to that point where they can say that to me. That it may sound like you're getting fired. It may sound like, you know, you didn't do something right, but believe me, you did your job right if you can get them to that point. So, you know, whatever it's worth. I mean, this is, you know, we're supposed to be on week 6 of this class, and I don't think I really talked much about it here, but we're doing a video case study again, and then a peer review. I like the peer reviews. I think it's important for you guys to see each other's work, and you get tips from each other that way, and get to provide a little bit of feedback to each other that way, and it's always a good learning experience for everybody. So anyway, if you have questions, certainly let me know. I look forward to, again, seeing this stuff come through to grade as it comes through. It's nice for me to see. I like it when you make videos because I get to see you and hear you instead of just read you. So, okay, so end of week 6, we got two more weeks after this one. We're certainly about coming down the home stretch. So if you have any questions, let me know. Talk to you soon. Thanks.